99% of men will never land their ideal girl. And that's not because of their looks, it's not because of their bank account, and it's not because they don't know some magic pickup line. And the reason why the top 1% of men do land their dream girl is a fusion of inner transformation, spiritual resonance, and building an unshakable identity. In the next 8 minutes or so, I'm going to reveal the 6 foundational pillars that have empowered my clients to become part of that 1% and claim the women that they truly desire instead of settling for less. Pillar number 1 is the abundance mindset. At the core of every high-value man that kills it in dating is the innate belief that life, love, the universe itself is limitless. The abundance mindset is not some quick tactic, it's not some gimmick. This is an entire paradigm shift. When you can really internalize that the world offers countless opportunities for connection, 2 major changes happen. And the first is developing confidence without clutch. You no longer hinge all of your self-worth, all of your self-value on one single interaction. If an approach fizzles, if a date doesn't go well, your self-value remains intact because you understand that every person you meet is just one out of infinite, limitless possibilities. Number 2, you develop magnetic presence. Emotional independence radiates a very subtle yet powerful energy. Women can subconsciously sense when a man's happiness isn't tethered purely to them. And that freedom that you convey, it ignites curiosity in them. It ignites desire because they know that you're not just chasing one prize. You're in a state of perpetual growth. When Eric adopted this mindset, he went from being in a state of scarcity. When is this girl gonna text me next? When am I gonna get the next girl? To a state of abundance, a state of curiosity. How can this girl help me in my life? What value does this girl have for me? How does me hanging out with this girl contribute to my own growth? He went from thinking like a beggar to thinking like a chooser, which led him into quality connections with quality women rather than just taking whatever he could get. Pillar number 2 is adopting a habituation paradigm. I don't know about you, but I was not born confident. True confidence is not an act. It's a result of repeated exposure to situations that used to trigger fear. And this habituation paradigm recognizes that discomfort is your biggest catalyst for growth. Just remember that every time you encounter and survive a challenging social situation, be it talking to a stranger, being rejected, holding eye contact when you're talking to a girl, your brain is naturally going to downgrade its fear response to that stimulus. And over time, what once felt impossible becomes your baseline. For me, even a few years ago, talking to a random person felt impossible. I was nervous, I was sweating uncontrollably, even talking to a random old man. And now it's really just a habit for me instead of something that I dread. Every time I'm out of the house, I'm always going to talk to random people because my fear response to that stimulus is gone. And that shift really rewires your identity. You stop perceiving yourself as some timid observer and you become an active, charismatic participant when talking to random people. Realistically, the only way to grow socially or to improve your dating life if you can't approach women is to actively make a conscious decision to step into that discomfort. The more you step into that discomfort, the more you signal to the universe that you're ready to make that next step. Pillar number 3, at some point, every man needs to rewire his beliefs. Understand that your deepest beliefs sculpt your reality. If your subconscious narrative tells you that you're not good enough, then every interaction you have with women is going to reinforce that truth. There is no truth besides what your subconscious mind deems as truth. If you think you're too ugly or too nerdy to get girls, it's true. If you don't think you're too ugly and you think you're perfect the way you are to go and get girls, it's true. But you need to ask yourself, would you rather be right and never get what you want, or be wrong and ultimately get what you want? What is the point in believing in a truth if the truth itself doesn't serve you? I see no point. I could tell myself I'm too black to get girls, or I'm not good looking enough, or I'm not tall enough. But even if that was true, how does it serve me? If you're serious about improving your dating life, the first thing you need to do is identify your core lie. Whether that's about your looks, your status, your social skills, you need to identify and write down this lie. And then you simply need to think, am I thinking logically here? Or is this emotional reasoning because of some experience that has happened to me before? And then you want to rewrite this lie that you wrote down as a truth that actually serves you. So for example, instead of I'm short so I can't talk to girls, you could rewrite that as short guys pull girls all the time. I'm good enough as is, why am I going to stress about something I can't control? Pillar number 4 is dynamic teasing and energetic pull. Beyond how words can describe it, attraction is created by fluctuating energy. And teasing is really the keystone because it creates tension, it creates playfulness, and it creates this magnetic spark that just compels further investment in women. Think of the game of teasing as a push and pull game. You don't want to pull too hard, but you don't want to push too hard either. So for example, pulling can be complimenting a girl on something she's wearing. Pushing can be calling her a nerd because one of her hobbies. And then pulling again can be complimenting her on some passion that she has. And then pushing again can be lightly challenging her on that passion. A light tease creates brief energy separation, but then genuine warmth and genuine appreciation pulls her back in and creates this reconnection. Essentially combining this pushing and pulling makes the pulling feel that much more real, that much more impactful. Pillar number 5, if you actually want to succeed with dating, is building sustainable momentum and locking in your new identity. Dating transformation is not a sprint. It's a relentless marathon of small, consistent choices that you make to forge your new identity. So you need to acknowledge your progress. What I get my clients to do is write down each milestone. Okay, this is the first random person you talked to. This is the first girl that you approached. This is the first number that you got. This is the first date that you've been on. This is the first week where you have 3 dates scheduled. And when you can really pat yourself on the back and see that you have consistently been putting in the work and improving, essentially your past victories anchor you into your future self. Rather than just rushing to the next goal, pausing and acknowledging your wins deepens your neural pathways that are associated with confidence. Pillar number 6 is feedback and community mastery. You need to understand that isolation ultimately kills growth. Having a structured community where you can get feedback from others, where you can get clear guidance, is obviously going to expedite your growth. For a lot of guys in their late 20s or in their 30s that struggle with dating, you have no one to talk to it about. It seems like all of your friends are married or they have girlfriends. It just makes the struggle so much harder when you have no one on the same page as you to talk to it about. And it's unfortunate because this is a negative feedback loop. You already feel socially isolated due to your inability to speak to random people or speak to random women, and then you have no one to actually talk to it about, which makes you feel even more isolated. When you have that community of like-minded men that are in the same situation as you, a lot of guys are going to see the blind spots before you do. Learning in an inner circle is ultimately going to accelerate your progress. And for this reason, my clients love the inner circle that we have, because typically there's not a lot of guys that can come to the honest conclusion that they need help with dating. So understand that most of us aren't born a top 1% of man in dating. For most guys, it's built through inner alignment, getting feedback from someone who's already done what you're trying to do, and relentless and structured practice. So if you're ready to become a top 1% man in dating and step into your desired identity and finally attract that dream girl that you've been looking for, book in a call below and you can apply to be in our inner circle community.